Hey guys, DJ from PTA. I'm going to go over a few stocks today. No trades for me today. Had a solid week early part, so took the day off. Also had some other things to do outside of the desk. So circling back today, kind of go over a few things that happened on Friday, including what the sentiment of the market was on Friday, and just what I have been hearing from sitting on the sidelines. So one of the things that I noticed was the behavior change in the market overall. It's kind of mixed. I mean, we are rallying, we are moving in the upward position. We did have some type of energy or something, some type of synergy that came into the market right here. And told you guys, after they got over this weekly previous week high, we may get us a nice little push back up to the monthly high, so previous month high. So it's one of those things that like don't surprise me, but the overall consensus of what you should be looking at in a market is really the technical analysis. Fundamentals to me is completely out the door at this point. Why? It's because the stocks are moving such a way that don't really make sense. And if you've been trading for a while, you come to that reality that stocks will move when it doesn't make sense. The overall market at this point, in my opinion, is moving and it doesn't really make sense. When we had a lot of companies this week not have so many good earnings, it was pretty much a bloodbath. And it's like everyone's trying to find somewhere to park money. Manipulation. And in that aspect, you get these really interesting moves. So I would like to see it go back up to here. If we're going long, if we're going short, I like to get back up to here. This would be my first price target. That would be my second one there. So honestly, does the market have the momentum to do it? Yes. Just because it should be down. I've talked to a lot of traders who've been doing this a lot longer than me, even admit that, yeah, it should be down. The fundamentals show that it should be down, but yeah, we're trending up. So do we argue with the trend? No, we just go along with it and make a couple bucks along the way. I would not be too biased on one side or the other. I wouldn't be long term, and I wouldn't be short term, long term. So realistically, if you're not in this for another 10 years, you think the market's going to go back up in 10 years, then throw all your money at it and turn off the laptop. If you think the market's going to go lower, historically markets always have to do retracements, but it always wants to go higher. So honestly, it's very tough to say. So it's very hard to say, hey, this stock should be doing this or the market should be doing that. Every person that I know that had a short bias on the market took a real paper cut. A person I know that went long in the market, they also took a paper cut. So no one's really calling the top or the bottom right now. It's really the meat of the move is in the middle. And that's where I try to stay when it comes to trading. Stay in the middle. Don't be too one or the other. So first stock going over Nrxp bio stock that was in play. Now I drew my lines just so that you guys can kind of understand where the key areas were, and this was all based off of the daily. Amazing enough, it's literally 10 cents per critical area, and that's probably because that's how this stock kind of moved. Breaking it down into the 5-minute, when you take a look at this, you can kind of see the pattern forming. So right off a major resistance, it broke out, came back, major resistance. So they hit this area as major resistance and pulled the furthest away from it, 75. So that's a critical area. It pulled, broke through 65, came back up to 75, blew past it, and had a massive pull down. So that's what triggered everyone else to start looking at it. was the massive blow past a daily support area, a resistance area, and then a significant pull down. That created this synergy here. Going over here, let's look at the 1 minute. We had our pattern right there. So in essence, the pattern came in to help the trader understand, okay, this is support. And we had this nice little bounce, and then you could have got in here. So your support would have been about 73 cents. Let's look and see if we can put that there. Nope, wrong area here. So we had, let me see something here. We had support there. Could have got your entry here 75 or pre-market 77, 3-4 cent risk. Went up 35 cents from that area. Great solid trading. So ultimately, you want to make sure you get into key areas or key sections of a trade to join with the crowd. That was a great join of the stock. And again, it's how you look at it. This would have been A, that would have been B, C could have been right there. The entry would have been there, pulled out the D. This pulled back into another critical area before going to 105. Solid trade, solid trade. Shout outs to Trade King on this one, as well as AP Rhino Trades was in there and gave some commentary. So ultimately a really good trade overall from start to finish. Next trade I wanted to go over was TBLT. TBLT had been on the radar for a while, something we've been trading and looking at. But we just today had some increased volume, but there's just a lot of people involved in this stock. I'm thinking next week when it gets over previous week high, I think that's when the stock will get kind of interesting because everybody's been smoked out. So zeroing down on the 5 minute, massive trade right off the 715 area. Now, if you're looking at this, you're thinking to yourself, where was the actual trade? Well, the trade had to be weighted at this point for it to form. Yes, we got us a bounce here, but this wasn't an ABCD pattern. You had to wait for it. So some people looked at it as this is A, that became B, which it popped and pulled back, and then it ripped right into the first 5 minutes. Now that's very deceptive, and that's probably why I don't trade the first 5 minutes. So we go back here, it looks apparent, but if you look at it, it was just sideways price action and then a pop and pull down. So if you are paying attention to the stock, paying attention to the price movement, you wouldn't have seen any buyers stepping in at this point. You just would have seen that it was absorbing and then it collapsed. So when it collapsed right off of $7.02, it dropped right back down to previous days high and used it as support. When it used it as support, it was a nice bounce play, but because of the price action, because of what type of area it was, previous day high is not necessarily the most important support or resistance type of area. It's really off that daily, those areas where it rejected strongly and pulled away. That was 715. So when it pulled away, only went down to 664, which was previous day high, and then rallied back up, that created your A. So this right here, that area there is what created your A. Nowhere else. So once it got here, it created A. So once we got the created A, we pulled back into the support. Now, why would I want to trade anything that's not pulling back into support? Until it pulled back to this area here, with it being so close, I'll take my chances. Ultimately, it could have used its support, bounced, pulled back, but see, it went up. It didn't go up and pull back and then go up. It has to confirm. That was no confirmation there. So that's why I wouldn't have got in. It pulled back into the support, and then it bounced like we talked about, and then pull and create another support to continue on. That's the best way to look at it. Let it form. Most people don't. And that's the reason why they keep losing a good trade, or let the trade chop them out and they get moved out. And don't get me wrong, I've done it too. I've had some good trades for that reason. I had some really good trades go bad because I did not wait for it to confirm. So you definitely want to wait for it to confirm, because that allows you to take the minimum amount of risk with the maximum amount of gain. The next stock was Govx. Govx was another industry leader when it comes down to vaccines and different things of that sort. So anything with vaccine, as I was reading the article before making this video for you guys, I was reading about, Govx areas of interest. I also take a look at keywords. So when I see stuff like FDA, U.S. Food and Drug Administration, stuff like that, those are buzzwords. Those buzzwords would generate people come in there. So you got coronavirus, Ebola, certain countries, Sudan, and different things like that are buzzwords for traders that everyone wants to pile in and pay attention to that particular stock. So ultimately, I had to take a look at it and use it in the video to kind of get an idea where it went. So we take this down, you can see that 205 was a critical area off the daily. It's the same where it popped and broke down from. It did the same thing. So once it started holding 205, it ripped. And this was your initial entry right here off the gate. And then it pulled up and pulled back. Now this wasn't a way to continue into the trade. You could have risking to the low of the day, but to me it wasn't a good enough trade to really get in because of the amount of volume it was. So you wanted to wait. Once it pulled back, and I say that because it was off of the 15, that's when you started to see some action. Right here is a pullback, and it looks a little different on the 5, obviously because of the keys, but you had to wait for it to do what it needed to do. So let's talk about that. This was the trade right there. So breaking it down to the 1 minute, to take a look at this, you had to wait for it to actually form. So obviously it went to 250, rejected, pulled down, used this as double support, really triple. So you had support here, support here, support here. It bounced, quickly rebound, and then continue on. This is a bit choppy. So I think most traders jumped in somewhere around here. Only because of how choppy it was into that trade. Some might have waited to the 250 break and hold because that was support. But I did like the support off a previous day at 232, so it would have been a good area to risk off of. I just didn't get that bounce that I wanted to see. Now you get down to the technicals. Yeah, the low of this candle was 231. The low of support was 230. Now, it's pretty tight to base that off of and say that that was support. So I just looked at it as double support. Something like that, yeah, any type of pullback. So my entry would probably have been 242 with a risk to 232. Remember, these are 1 minute candles. So right here would have been your entry, risking it here, and then lo and behold, it took off. And it was just unwinding those other traders that were in that trade. It was just unwinding, and it did that for the rest of the day. Went back up to 339. Now this is another entry because you had your support here, bounce, and then the takeoff. So your entry would have been about 287 to 290 with a 280 risk. And why I say 280 is because this was a trap. This red to green move was a trap. It rejected here, and then they trapped it again here before they took it higher. So that was definitely a great move on GVOX. News, so on and so forth was all there. All these different things is what creates the confluence for a particular trade. So the next trade, I want to say, I'm going to check PGY, because I believe PGY ended up moving that day as well. Yeah, it did. PGY moved on the 29th as well. So let's go over that one. Again, when you're already making new highs, you kind of got to use previous day open, close, those type of support and resistance as support and resistance. Breaking down on the 5-minute, this was more of a later trade day move. You just came off of a massive pull, and then you see that it respected previous day low, did a nice red to green play into the rip. Now, most people might have missed that, but it was real clear to see on a higher time frame. So when you see that the stock held support, bounce, pulled back, created a new A, pulled back and created B here off the higher time frame, then you can look at this as being C in that area. Now breaking that down to a 5, this is where you see it. You see support came in right there. Now some people probably use previous day low, but I would probably use this 1650 area as a critical area for this. 1650, it bounced, and then when it left this area and then held, that's when it got interesting. So this formed your A. This is how quickly a move can happen. So not only did we have support here, we bounced from it, and then we created an area. Pulled back, had support, pulled up, new support, took off. So it was probably a very small ABC pattern like example, but moreover, it works. It was just a solid trade. You're talking about an entry of red to green at $18 and it went to 27. That's a solid trade with literally maybe a 20-cent risk. So you had about a 40-cent risk here off the 5-minute. And I mean, again, if you wanted to squeeze down into a 1-minute to get it precise, you could have, because it was right there for you to see it. Right there. So you could have got in 1790s, 1760 risk, 30-cent risk, and literally, let's check and see, I believe it was a $9 gain. So 1790, yeah, 1790 to 27. So a good $10, $9 gain easily. So when you're trading, you want to be patient in your trades. You want to let the trade play out the way it's supposed to, and you want to allow it to, give it some time, give it some air, give it some time to do what it needs to do. This one here was a late trade. It was just a late day trade. I think a lot of people, this one snuck up on them, but for those who took advantage of it, they definitely did well. They definitely did well. All right, gang. If you have any questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. Hit that like button so that it jumps on our algorithm and everybody can see this. Guys, get into the Discord. It's an awesome tool to help you in your trading career. We also have a few package of plans on our website you can take advantage of as well. We are also going to be introducing a one-on-one with some of our senior traders that are up for it. They're going to be doing some consultation. Again, guys, the information from that will be on the website so that you can actually get with the actual real trader and actually do one-on-one with that person. and we have some videos and tutorial things to design for that as well. So it's going to be a great package deal for those who are interested in taking their trading career to the next level and understanding it. This will be a great opportunity for you to meet some of those senior guys that does our trading on our floor with massive amount of capital. All right, gang. Till next time, stay studying and stay focused.